Anybody's guess as to who's going to join Birmingham in the automatic spots at the end of the campaign? Will it be Wrexham? Will it be Wycombe? Or will there be a third party making a late surge? Of course, we'll take a look at that and much more as we get into it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video. Today is all about match number 41, that's right, in League One, and we'll get to it in a second. If you knew where you've been, smash your subscribe and you want sub shop for Blackburn Rovers, League One, World Football. We're going to all hear under one rooski. That's right, Birmingham are cruising to the Championship, but who will join them? Wrexham currently find themselves in that second spot, 3 points clear over Wycombe, who do have a game in hand. Goal difference is quite tight as well between two sides. Who bloody knows? And what about Charlton? They're not out of it just yet, are they? So take a look at all of it in a second, of course. Big shout out to the members, big shout out to the patrons. You know who you are. But what we're going to do now, though, is revisit the last round of games, which just took place just yesterday. Then look forward to this weekend's drama. It's all crazy. It is, of course, League One football. Let's get into it then, shall we? Looking back. And of course, the games that did take place on Tuesday, which were these guys, that's right. And as you can see it, Exeter with an important 2-1 away win against Barnsley. I won with the home win. Blackpool did beat Reading 3-0 quite convincingly in the end. I went with a 2-1 win. Burton did beat Leyton Orient 2-1. I went with a 1-0. Good win for Burton. Meanwhile, Cambridge and Wrexham did a 2-2 thriller in the end. I went with a 2-1. Look at Peterborough 4-3 coming back to win the game against Crawley. I went with a home win on that one. Leyton did beat Huddersfield 1-0 as predicted. Charlton did beat Mansfield at 2-1. I went with a 1-0. Win for them as well. Rotherham with a 2-0 away win. Of course, new manager bounce. We don't know what that is. That's Blackburn Rovers fans. Anyway, I went with the draws. Not Stockport County with a 3-0 win over Stevenage. I went with a 2-1 win. Bolton did beat Wigan 1-0. I went the other way. Wycombe and Shrewsbury duked it out in a 0-0 draw in the Gareth Ainsworth derby. And Birmingham did beat Bristol Rovers 2-1 in the end. So that's, of course, that. What about the table? Well, the table looks like this now. As you see, it's Birmingham 89 points. Wrexham are on 78. And Wycombe are on 75. Look at Charlton, though. Charlton are right on the curtails of Wycombe. I'm not sure about the runners. I've not looked at their games with the final five, etc., etc. But it is all on the line here. Meanwhile, what's also on the line is that race for that sixth spot. You would imagine Bolton, Reading, Huddersfield, maybe even Blackpool, and of course Leyton Orient on the outside. I probably think 10th upwards are still competing for that last spot, which will make it a right good thriller right to the wire. Going down, though. Again, you can't rule out Wigan, you can't rule out Northampton Town, you can't rule out Bristol Rovers getting sucked into that relegation mire because Crawley and Burton have closed the doors a little bit, and even Burton have a game in hand on the likes of Bristol Rovers. So could be crazy, and of course we love it. We love a bit of drama, love a bit of end of season drama. Again, we are a little bit behind on the prediction league. Well, we're not really. You guys just do your thing. It's all on me. The scores will get calculated. I've got them all coming, all brewing up nicely, and I think I have time next week to finally bring you bang up to date with what's going on over there. So that's that. These are the next round of games that are coming at you this coming weekend, and it all starts off on Saturday, the 5th of April. We're going to go Reading up against Wycombe. What a classic this is at the Matchday. Goodness gracious me. Reading are in 7th right now, 62 points for the season, just one defeat in the last 6. Up against Wycombe, the Mike Dodds, 3rd in the table, 75 points for the season, just one defeat in the last 6. Now, they played 7 times, these two clubs, since 2014. 4 wins Reading, 2 wins Wycombe. There's been 1 draw between the two sides. That 1 draw was the last time they played. It was at Wycombe way back in December. It was the reverse fixture. Meanwhile, the last time they played at the Matchday, it was a 2-1 win for Wycombe way back in March. Reading on the back of that 3-0 loss to Blackpool. That was an away result there. The last home match was a 3-1 win over the Posh. Meanwhile, Wycombe on the back of that 0-0 draw against Shrewsbury to make it back-to-back clean sheets. The last away match was also a 3-2 win over Rotherham. The odds on this one is quite tight. Wycombe are expected to get the win according to the bookies, but me, I'm going with a 2-1 win for Reading, surprise, surprise, which puts the cat amongst the pigeons. Meanwhile, Wrexham up against Burton, Albion coming at you over at the racecourse ground. Phil Parkinson's boys are second in the table, 78 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Burton under Gary Bowyer, 21st in the table, 39 points for the campaign, 2 wins in the last 3 matches. They played each other 4 times since 2008. 1 win Wrexham, 3 wins Burton. There's been no draws. Last time around over at Wrexham in the league, it was a 1-0 win for Burton way back in September 2008. However, the Pirelli, the reverse fixture back in December, was a 1-0 win for Wrexham. Of course, when these two sides met around about Christmas time. I'm trying to look at this a little bit. No, Wrexham on the back of that 2-2 away draw against Cambridge last time they were home. They did beat Stockport 1-0. It's actually been back-to-back clean sheets for them at home. Meanwhile, Burton on the back of a 2-1 win over Orient. Their last away match was a loss against high-flying Stockport. Stockport. The odds on this one, Wrexham are expected to win, and I really love Burton Albion to get the W for Gary Bowyer's sake, but I do think they'll get a bit of a tonk in here. 3-0 win. I think they just need to hope that the clubs down the foot don't win, but that could be opportunity knocks for Wrexham to get into the top 2 spots once again. Meanwhile, Birmingham do have a tricky game against Barnsley, but Barnsley are a little bit shit right now. Birmingham under Chris Davis are top of the table, 89 points for the campaign, unbeaten in the last 5 up against Barnsley. Conor Hoonhane in the dugout, 11th for the table, 54 points for the season. They are winless in the last 6. They played each other 37 times since 1993. 18 wins Birmingham, 10 wins Barnsley. There's been 9 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at Birmingham, it was a 2-1 win for the Birminghams back in January 2022. The reverse fixture, also a 2-1 win for Birmingham at Oakwell back in December. Birmingham actually, back-to-back wins over Barnsley. They're coming into this on the back of that 2-1 win away to Bristol Rovers. Barnsley on the back of that 2-1 loss to Exeter. The odds for this one, of course, Birmingham backed heavily by the bookies. I'm going with Birmingham as well. Again, the title is happening anytime soon. I don't know when. Get the calculators out. 2 winners. If you're a Birmingham fan, which I know you guys won't watch because you critique me every time I go against them, but I've drunk the Kool-Aid, guys. You are going up. When is it? When is the calculations expected to become champions for Birmingham? Let me know in the comments down below. Bolton up against Bristol Rovers, coming at Bolton now. Shall we? Steven Schumacher's boys are 6th in the table, 63 points for the season. 1-3, lost 3 over the last 6 matches. Bristol Rovers under Igno Calderon coming at you, 4 defeats on the spin. They are, of course, 20th with 42 points in the campaign. They played 9 times in 2016, 4 wins Bolton, 2 wins Bristol Rovers, 3 draws. Last time around over at this very venue, it was a 2-1 win for Bristol Rovers way back in December 2023. Now, they also played each other at Bristol over in March. It was a 3-2 win for Bristol Rovers not too long ago. Bolton on the back of that 1-0 away win at Wigan. But Bristol Rovers did lose at home to Birmingham last time around. Their last away match as well was a loss. So 4 defeats on the spin for them. In fact, their last win, Bristol Rovers, was against Bolton. Goodness gracious me. Meanwhile, the odds right here, right now, looking at it, Bolton expected to get the win. It could be a back-to-back wins here for Schumacher's boys, and they might be back in the playoffs, or at least remain in the playoffs. 2-1 winners, Bolton have it in the end. Charlton against Lincoln, coming at the Valley. That's right, Nathan Jones's boys are doing the business. They are 4th at the table, 72 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Lincoln and the Michael Skabula's boys, they are 12, 53 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 4. They played each other 9 times in 2020. 2 wins Charlton, 4 wins Lincoln. There's been 3 draws. Last time around over at the Valley, it was a 1-1 draw way back in February 2024. The reverse fixture at Sincil Bank was a 0-0 draw way back in December. Just 1 defeat for Lincoln against Charlton in the last 6. Lincoln on the back of that 1-0 win over Huddersfield. Charlton on the back of that 2-1 win over Mansfield. The bookies on this one, they'll probably go with Charlton. Of course they would. Yes, they do. They back them. I'm backing them as well with just a 1-0 win to keep Nathan Jones's boys moving in that discussion for that top 2 spot. Exeter City up against Stockport County. Another team trying to get a little bit or cement their spot in the playoffs. Exeter and Gary Caldwell, 67% form for them, and now just 1 defeat. In the last 6, they are 16th right now, 48 points for the campaign. Stockport under David Challen, just 1 defeat in the last 6 as well. They are 5th with 71 points for the season. They played Exeter 4 times since 2006. 3 wins Stockport, 1 win Exeter. There's been no draws. The last time around over at Exeter, it was a 1-0 win for Stockport way back in February 2010. That was back in League 1, of course. Stockport with a 2-0 win in the reverse fixture at Edgeley Park back in December. Exeter on the back of the 2-1 win over Barnsley. Stockport with a 3-0 win over Stevenage. Their last away match, though, Stockport, they did lose to Wrexham way back on the 22nd of March. The odds right here, right now, looking at it, Exeter unfancied by the bookies. Stockport expected to get the win. I've gone with a 2-1 win, but it is going to be a tight old game. I think Exeter can make it difficult for Stockport because of their current state of form. Huddersfield Town up against Mansfield, coming at Huddersfield. John Worthington is still in the dugout. They're 8th for the table, 61 points for the season. They lost 4 of the last 5 up against Mansfield under Nigel Clough. 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. They sit 17th with 47 points. They played 7 times in 2003. 3 wins Huddersfield, 2 wins Mansfield. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around, competitively in the league, between these two sides, it was what are we looking at? It's a difficult one here. They did play the playoffs in the League 2 final. That doesn't really count. But if you want to play in the normal league structure here, it was a 3-1 win for Mansfield against Huddersfield way back in May 2004. Now, the reverse fixture this season was a 2-1 win for Huddersfield at Mansfield back in December. The hosts on the back of that 1-0 loss to Lincoln. Mansfield on the back of that 2-1 loss to Charlton. This one's tight here. Huddersfield expected to win according to the bookies. It could go either way. I'm going with a draw. 1-1 in the end. Point apiece. Huddersfield not really playing well at the moment. Meanwhile, Leyton Orient trying to get back in the playoff discussion up against Wigan at Brisbane Road. Richie Wellens' boys are 10th right now, 59 points for the season. They won 2 out of the last 6 up against Wigan. And Ryan Lowe, winless in the last 3. They're all the way down to 18th. And they're not out of that relegation discussion just yet. They played each other 3 times since 2023. 1 win apiece and 1 draw. Last time around at Brisbane Road, it was a 1-1 draw way back in November 2023. The reverse fixture, a 2-0 win for Leyton Orient at Wigan back in December. Wigan on the back of that 1-0 loss to Bolton. The Orient also losing to Burton most recently. But the odds right here, right now, looking at it, Leyton Orient expected to get the W. Ryan Lowe's boys expected to take another L. And there it is, 2-0 winners. Orient taking it to the house. Peterborough United up against Northampton Town. Coming at you over at Peterborough. Darren Ferguson's boys are in good bit of form right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. Is it possible to make a late surge? I think it might be too much for them. Anyway, Darren Ferguson just 1 defeat in the last 6. 14 for the table. 48 points for the season. Up against Northampton Town under Kevin Nolan. Just 1 win in the last 6. They're all the way down to 19th with 43 points. They played Peterborough 21 times since 2002. 14 wins for the Posh. 5 wins for Northampton. 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at the Posh, it was a 5-1 win for Peterborough back in March 2024. The reverse fixture, a 2-1 win for Northampton Town back at Sixfields back in December. They also played each other in the EFL Trophy knockout stage. It was at Peterborough as well. 3-0 winners in the end. The home side has won 5 on the spin between these two sides. The last time the away side won was when Peterborough played Northampton at Sixfields back in October 2020. It was a 2-0 win for the Posh. Speaking of victories, Peterborough on the back of that 4-3 thriller against Crawley. Away win for them. Northampton Town losing to Rotherham most recently. The odds right here right now, Peterborough, I've got the bit between the teeth right now. Expected to win with them. I'm also going with a 3-1 win, convincing win, but it's going to be too little too late for the race for the top 6. Rotherham against Blackpool coming at you at the New York Stadium. That's right. Steve Evans is no longer there. That's right. Up against Blackpool under Stevie Bruce. They played 13 times in 2005. 8 wins Rotherham. Nothing for Blackpool. There's been 5 draws. Blackpool coming into this on 5 wins of the last 6. They are 9th right now. 60 points for the season. Up against Rotherham. 15 for the table. 48 points for the season. Just 1 win in the last 5. Last time around over at this very venue was a 3-0 win for Rotherham. Way back in September 2022. The reverse fixture at Bloomfield Road was a 0-0 draw. Blackpool have yet to score against Rotherham in the last 3, but they're coming into this on back-to-back wins. That's 3 wins on the spin, including a 2-0 win on the road last time around when they last played on the road. Meanwhile, Rotherham on the back of that 2-0 win over Northampton Town. The odds for this one, despite yet to beat Rotherham in recent times anyway, Rotherham are still edging it with the bookies, but only just. It is marginal thing. I'm going with a 1-1 draw here. But I wouldn't rule out Blackpool taking all 3 points because they're playing good at football right now. Shrewsbury Town against Cambridge coming at Shrewsbury. It's Nico Apton's boys up against Neil Harris. Shrewsbury 24 for the table, 29 points for the season. They are winless in the last 10. Up against Cambridge and Neil Harris, they are 23rd, 32 points for the season. They are winners in the last 7. They played 15 times in 2002. 4 wins Shrewsbury, 6 wins Cambridge. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. Last time around at this very venue was a 2-1 win for Cambridge back in February 2024. The reverse fixture, a 4-1 win for Cambridge way back in December. Cambridge are unbeaten in the last 3, scoring 7 goals in the last 3 games against Cambridge combined. They're on the back of a draw though, are Shrewsbury 0-0 against Wycombe. Cambridge also on the back of a draw, 2-2 against high-flying Wrexham. The odds right here right now, again, it is evenly split, could go either way, but I think Shrewsbury just have the edge, and I'm going to give it to them as well. 1-0 winners. Big win for them at the foot of the table. And then Stevenage taking on Crawley, coming at Stevenage. Alex Revell's boys are 13th, 49 points for the season, winless in the last 5. Up against Crawley under Scott Lindsay, 2 wins, 2 defeats in the last 4. They sit 22nd with 36 points. They played Stevenage 33 times since 2004. 17 wins Stevenage, 9 wins Crawley. There's been 7 draws last time around at this venue. It was a 3-1 win for Stevenage back in December 2022. The reverse fixture, a 3-1 win for Crawley back in Feb. Crawley on the back of that 7-goal thriller, but losing to Peterborough. They've actually scored 7 goals in the last 2 games combined of Crawley, but only walked away with 3 points. Stevenage on the back of successive goalless scoring affairs for them, and that equals back-to-back losses. They're coming into this with the bookies odds. Stevenage expected to win with the bookies. I don't think so. I'm going to back Crawley. They've been scoring for fun, and I think they'll get a big, important 3 points for them, especially when you look at the likes of Burton and Bristol Rovers. And if I'm right, this is what the table will look like. It will look absolutely spicy down the foot with Crawley and Burton giving themselves Burton doing jack shit this week, but they have a game in hand, closing in on the Bristol Rovers and Northampton Towns and the Wiggins of the world. Now, as you look at the top of the table, Birmingham City, of course, they're doing their thing. Wrexham in the driving seat, 6 points clear of Wycombe, and they have played a game more than those, but and Charlton, of course, right in the thick of things as well. But it could all change, of course. I'd need to look at those remaining fixtures to see who's got what and see if there's actually any hope for the likes of Charlton or even Stockport County to break it into that top two. We'll take a look at all of that, of course, in another video. I'm going to do another video early next week where we will look at the run-ins, see who's got the easier fixtures, who's got the more likely, the better chance to break into that top two. But anyway, enough about that. We'll talk about that much more later. Until then, we're done. Smash the subscribe.